Night Callers Bigfoot Radio.
We didn't set up ahead of time. Go ahead.
It is May 8th, 2017, and you're here with Lauren Smith, Ricki Smith, and Lori Hood.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. How are y'all doing tonight?
Doing awesome. I am doing awesome. Yeah, we kind of didn't decide who was going to do what, and it's been crazy. So we are all here, though, praise the Lord. And so we all went camping last weekend. So I want to hear about your camping trip, and then I'll tell you about mine. Go ahead. How'd it go?
Well, we went to Robbers Cave State Park in by McAlester, Oklahoma, and goodness gracious, you guys. You two sound like a pair of emphysema patients.
That wasn't me.
No, I think it's Ricki. I can't tell. Both of y'all are coughing, just, Anyways, so we went to Robbers Cave State Park right by McAlester, Oklahoma. Beautiful, beautiful park. It was awesome. It's very squatchy. Like my squatchy senses were going crazy. Just got hiking trails throughout the whole thing, and horse trails and campgrounds all over the place, and like the actual cave, you can climb up the side of a mountain and look in the cave, and it was a really awesome weekend. It wasn't too busy yet. I'm sure that'll change over the summer, but we had a really good time. We didn't have any squatchy activity. There's people next to us decided that they needed to play really good music, but very loud music through the whole campsite all night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at one point, I heard things hitting the ground over by Art, because we kind of used our four-wheel drive to cross a little pond to get to our site, but we could still see the other people, but we were kind of secluded from them, and we heard things hitting the ground, and I was like, is that, are we getting rock throwing going on? Like, what is that, And so finally Ricki gets up to go check it out, because I'm not going to. And he gets over there. He gets over there, and it's a tree breaking. So there's a big...
It's probably a 25 or a 30-year-old oak tree, probably as big around as a beach ball at the base.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, and it's breaking. It's breaking off about, 2-3 feet up from the base, from the roots. It's breaking over and falling over, and we watched as it broke in half and fell over right in front of us. But it wasn't squatch related. If a tree falls in the forest, if we're around, it does make noise. I just want to clear that up.
You know, I was going to say that.
I know. I've gotten that a lot. Anyway, I think Lori actually did have action this weekend, so.
I did. Well, as far as I know. Well, we left out Friday, and I worked all the way up till 5 o'clock, and it was like 6:30 before I got to where Rhonda was at, and then both of us took off, and by the time we got to where we were planning on camping, they were doing controlled burning. So the whole place was like black and smoking, and my sinuses are like going crazy. I knew there wasn't going to be any kind of wildlife or anything, and there were people camping there with that all around them. I'm like, no, I'm not. So we left there, and we went to another place in the Angelina National Forest down here in Deep East Texas. And, well, we'd never been there before. It'd been years since I'd been there. Well, we had to tell them, she showed us the map. We had to pick a site. We didn't get to go in and pick it out and put our money in the kiosk. That's the kind of place we're used to going to. And so, anyway, we pick out a spot. We don't have any idea how it looks or anything like that. And we get there. It's 10 o'clock at night, and we're putting up a tent by headlights. Y'all know how that is. And we're pretty good at it. So And we got everything all set up. We start hearing knocks. And, hold on. I'm trying to turn down this thing here. So we start hearing knocks and stuff, but then I think I debunked it, because you have to come in through a gate and go over these spike things if you're going out, and it kind of makes a clunk, and I kind of think maybe some of what we thought were knocks was that, but I don't know. It has been so long since I've heard a real knock, I just don't know. But anyway, we stayed up till about 3 o'clock in the morning, and finally I just went on to bed. She sat up for a little while, and I couldn't go to sleep. I just laid in there, and finally she come in, and she got over there, and she just fell right asleep. As soon as she started snoring, stuff started happening, and I started hearing branches breaking. It sounded like something charging through the woods like a bulldozer, and I could hear heavy footfalls. And so it freaked me out totally, because it sounded like it was coming right for the tent. And so I got up and I moved my cot in the middle of the tent instead of up against the wall where it was, to where nothing could touch me, And so anyway, I lay like that for about, I don't know, the rest of the night. And but anyway, I listened to the recording, and I can hear where it's crashing, but you can't hear footfalls, because where I had the recorder was too far away from our tent. I put it away from the tent so it wouldn't pick up our talking, but you could still hear us talking. But for some reason, I guess the tree blocked it. You couldn't tell how loud that was, and it just freaked me out totally. But anyway, yeah. Listening to the recording, you can tell that there was something out there. You can hear it stepping around. It broke off a branch. You could hear that. You can hear it breathing. You can hear it doing a kind of a growly breath. I mean, it's pretty awesome. But I didn't use my bionic ears, so it's very, it's not a very quality recording. You have to turn it way up, and you can hear all that. I don't really like that. So probably not going to share it with anybody. But anyway, that's where I'm at. Had a wonderful time. Really did.
Yeah. Got your adrenaline going, it sounds like, at the very least.
Oh, yeah. I was so excited. I don't think I slept all night. And then, another thing about this park, it was all senior citizens. It was like 65 and above were there, so they all went to bed at 10 o'clock. It was so quiet. It was like nobody else was there. But let me tell you what, at 6 o'clock that morning, they were all up, cooking breakfast, getting in their boats, making all kinds of noise. And I'm like, good Lord. And then when I come out of the tent, we couldn't tell where we were at because it was dark. I come out of the tent, and that whole area behind our tent, you think it was beautiful? No, they had clear-cut the heck out of it. It looked like a bomb had gone off. It was so ugly. We ate breakfast, packed up, and then we left there and just went hiking.
Oh my gosh.
It was awful. I'm like, my goodness. So, anyway, that was my adventure. But I tell you what, listening on this show every week after week, talking to different researchers, I get so envious because I don't get to go as much, and I don't want to go by myself, and it's really hard when your research partner works weekends and you work during the week. Oh, you got off schedule there. So, it just so happened that it fell just right and we were able to go, but yeah, I'm envious because of these people that are out there doing it, and I'm like, I want to go. So here we are.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well.
Do you want me to read the intro?
If you want. You sound like you. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I've had 2 cups of coffee. I'm ready to go. Okay.
No kidding.
Night Callers Bigfoot Radio presents Rick Oh, I don't know how to say his name. He said his name was Burrell. Burrell, I think is what he said. He'll straighten me out when he comes on. He's an Oklahoma Bigfoot researcher. Rick was born and raised in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He currently resides 15 minutes west of Oklahoma City. He has been researching Bigfoot on and off for about 5 or 6 years now, and recently got into the field research side. He has always been fascinated with Bigfoot. He has had 3 sightings over the last 3 years. One as recent as this year. He also had a non-sighting encounter with one, which he was able to get a footprint picture. So, saying that, we are happy to bring on Mr. Rick, and I can't, is he on? Hey, Rick, are you on?
Yes, it's Ricki Burrell.
Oh, I was
Burrell.
right.
Yeah, Burrell.
You should just go with
It's funny that you mentioning exciting weekend. Me and a buddy of mine, Brian, he's another Bigfoot researcher. He has the group, Southern Bigfoot Alliance. I don't want to get that wrong. But we went out researching this weekend, and he has shown me a structure, and as we're coming back out of the woods, we heard a couple grunts. And he's like, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we're like wanting to go back in the woods and go after it, but you know it's getting dark, and I didn't have my flashlight with me. I'd have never found my way back out of there. And you probably were hearing me coughing, so.
Oh no, that's okay. It sounds like all 3. I think it's this time of year. It's especially in Oklahoma. So Ricki and I are in Tulsa. So I mean, we're right up the road from you.
Yeah.
All you Okies.
Well, let me tell you about spring in Oklahoma.
We band together here now.
Yeah. You're the loner from Texas, and you know how Oklahomans feel about Texans, Mom. You might want to,
Yeah, we're not going to talk about wind directions, are we? No.
But yeah, that's how we like to start out a show, is with some action over the weekend. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys went out. It was during the day when you guys did this little research?
It was about, I'd say 6:15, 6:30 at night. And I had some errands to run. We decided that'd be a good time for both of us to meet up. And we went out to the area that he's been watching, and he wanted to show me the structure. And, we walked back to there, and we're looking at this creek bed. And he said, well, we could jump across it. The last time I was here, and we had a real big rain, and the creek bed turned into like a raging river. We were trying to cross that. I fell in, so that's normally me. But, we got to the structure, and we couldn't even get up close to it because it was, about as close as we could get was about 40 feet because it was just encased in water. And, I got to look at the structure, and it's the same kind of structure that was on my site where I'm watching. And so we're coming back out of the woods, and, we make it back across the creek. This time I didn't fall in. And we're just walking down this gravel road back to our vehicles, and all of a sudden you hear he goes, "Did you hear that?" I was like, anyway. I was like, oh, that sound? He goes, yeah. It's like, makes me want to go right back in the woods.
Yeah.
But,
right where
it's very,
because,
it was very faint, so we weren't exactly sure, there's a river in between us, an actual river in between us, so, and it was grunting loud enough that we could hear it, but it's still a little bit out there.
That's a good way to end there. It leaves you wanting more for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So
Makes me want to go back. Makes me want to hurry up and get back out to my site and see what's the action going on out there.
There you go. It always leaves you hooked. Always leaves you hooked at the end. So we're going to ask our standard question. What made you get into this this field?
Actually, you know, like she said, you know, I always liked Bigfoot. You know, I seen the video and that was from like '68 that started it all off, and I don't remember what year that was, and I just got fascinated with it. Well, about 5-6 years ago, a friend of mine, real good friend of mine, he was out hunting and he heard it jump the fence and come up to his hunting blind. It was dark out; he couldn't see what it was, and but he could smell it. And he said that's a smell you don't want to be around for very long.
No.
And then he ran into the smell again, and this time it was on his own property, because where he was, you know, he kind of backs up to where he hunts at. And, well, he was out scouting new areas, you know, and that's when I really kind of started getting into it the first time, you know. I told him, I think you just had a Bigfoot sighting. So I really started getting into researching it, you know, reading everything I could online. And, you know, I dabbled in it here and there before that. But when he had his, you know, encounter, you know, it left him with questions that was unanswered. And, you know, I wanted to get in and try to help him answer some questions and stuff. And then he, just in January, he was scouting a new area to hunt, and he seen it sitting up on a ridge. And that's when I actually got into the field research, because I come out the next month looking for it.
Oh.
So, yeah, he took me out to that site, and, you know, I seen and we walked all over the area, and I didn't see anything that was conclusive. Couldn't find any footprints, you know, broken limbs. I found one twig, you know, I couldn't say that was actually Bigfoot who did that. So he goes, well, let's go to where I hunt at. You know, I want to show you some fun stuff. So as we're walking into the woods, I'm sitting there, you know, I'm hearing this thing moving the opposite direction of us. And, I mean, it's not making any qualms about, you know, being quiet. It's just traipsing through there. So we stop, and we're listening, and it stops with us. I'm like, okay. And my friend's like, oh. He goes, you know, he's a big hunting fanatic, and he said, well, you know, it's a time of year, probably a big buck, you know, they're not afraid of us now because it's hunting season's over. And so I was like, I don't know. It's a little, you know, sounds a little heavier to me. And, you know, it's not being quiet at all. So we just keep walking, and, you know, he walks down, he shows me his areas he likes to hunt, and, you know, we're just kind of looking around for footprints and stuff, anything that, you know, is out of the usual out there. Come walking back out of the woods, and we're sitting there talking next to my pickup, and I just happened to look down the gravel road, and I was like, well, what's that? And again, I didn't have my flashlight, so grabbed my phone, hit the light on my phone, and it shines down on it. And I was like, there's a footprint. I said, that wasn't there when I got out of the truck, because I was looking. You know, I was looking everywhere. Yeah. And he goes, you sure that's a footprint? I said, I leaned down. I like, here's the heel, here's the side of the foot. And he goes, and here's the toes. He goes, oh, my God. So actually, one of the hands in the pictures that I sent you, one of the hands is mine down at the heel, and the other hand is his, pointing at the top of it. So, and we're trying to give a gauge.
You can see that if you go to our Blog Talk page. It's on there on a slideshow for anybody who's interested in going and seeing who's listening live tonight. Go ahead.
But you actually can, his fingers weren't actually at the top of the foot. It was kind of actually just short of the toes, at the ball of the foot. Because the toes were actually in the gravel, and I guess what it had done is when it walked by my truck, it stepped on a dirt clump and crushed it down, and I could see the impression, and if you got up close on it, you could see the toe prints. Well, the toe prints wouldn't come up on my phone on the picture because it was too light. And so he goes, well, there's got to be another one. I'll look over, and there's the other one sitting right there, and that one was even lighter. I couldn't even get a picture. I tried, and it wouldn't come out on my phone. And I was like, oh, man, I could have had a right and a left foot there, But it actually walked within 6 feet of my truck, out and around. And we hadn't been in there more than probably 30 minutes. And I figured if we had turned around.
Active area, for sure.
Well, there's been a lot of sightings. He's kind of been watching it and seeing where all the sightings were, reading up on it, and I've been, kind of watching that area and some other areas, seeing where all the sightings are at. But he had his stint with it, and another hunter actually on the other side of the road, down the road from it. It was sitting there looking at him. It was 50 yards out, sitting there watching him as he was, I think he was gutting his deer. I can't remember what he told me he was doing with his deer. He had it strung up, getting ready to take it out. And he walked out to his car for a minute, come back, and it was sitting about 50 yards away looking at him. So, I'm like all excited now. I'm like, oh, yeah, so, okay, there's at least a couple confirmed, sightings. And it just, all in that area. There, just we keep finding, people who are talking about sighting after sighting of it. So I'm really thrilled because I'm thinking, I'll get my chance to see it one day when it decides it wants me to see it.
Well, I thought you had 3 sightings.
Oh, no. Yeah, I had 3 sightings before that. And those have always been out on the road,
can you tell us about that, please?
Well, the first one I ever had was I was out in Arkansas, and I'm a truck driver, for my main job. Researching's my part-time thing. Mm-hmm. I pull into a rest area for my 30-minute break, and I'm sitting in the rest area, and I notice this woman, she's walking awful fast, and she walks right by this gazebo that has, the little picnic tables under it and everything. And I started looking at it, and that gazebo is like, at the bottom of it's like 8 foot tall, and her head's right there.
What?
And, it's dark out, and I can't see anything but silhouette, so I can't tell if it's a woman or what. Well, I'm sitting here watching her walk, because you could definitely tell it's female, whatever it was. Uh-huh. And, I'm sitting here watching her walk, and it just disappears right in the woods. I was like, well, that's just kind of strange. And I'm like, there's semis parked all out here. I'm figuring she's going to one of the trucks. And, I'm like, I think I just had a Bigfoot. So I'm sure I had a Bigfoot because, I'm sitting here looking at this gazebo, and her head's at the top of it. And I'm like, that's a tall woman. But the second sighting, actually, I was going across Corsicana, Texas, down there on 287, and just about 2 weeks earlier before I seen it, a week, 2 weeks earlier, somewhere around there, a buddy of mine and I were running across there. We're coming from the same place, and he said, "Did you see that?" I was like, "See what?" I'm paying attention to the road, and he's a hunter, so he's constantly looking around, looking in the woods and stuff. He said, "I think I just saw Bigfoot." And I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Well, I thought it was a hunter at first, but I looked at him, I was like, what's he wearing a fur coat for?" And I'm like, and it disappeared right back into the woods. I'm like, man, I missed that one. So, I've been back through there then like the next week, I don't think I seen it. The second week, I went back through there. You know, it was actually literally sitting in a ditch alongside the road, facing out towards the field. And I didn't really think about it at the time. I thought, you know, tree, and, you know, then after I passed it, I was like, wait a minute, I've seen that image before. You know, kind of like a photographic memory. I'm going through all these pictures of Bigfoot in my head and stop on this one where it shows its back, and I'm like, that's it. I've been back through there. I don't know how many times I've been back through there, have gone through that same area and never seen it again. Not even that shape.
Wow.
And then the third time, I was going up 44, and I'm not sure, but it really did. I mean, it was in a tree. It was a young one. Kind of skinny, long legs, long arms, you know. But, you know, at first I was thinking kid maybe, and I'm starting to look around. There's no houses in this area. I'm like, okay, what would a kid be way out in the woods for by himself? And, you know,
and where was this again?
Oh, that was at Interstate 44 going up through Oklahoma, not Oklahoma City, but it was right around in between I want to say the Luther and Chandler exit. You know, somewhere right around there. And right now it's growing up pretty good because I actually seen that a little bit before everything started blooming. And so now the trees are real thick, and I can't see that exact area where I seen it now. You know, I have an assumption as where it was, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And just this past Friday, I actually seen another one. So it's been recent. I was back on 287 going across to Corsicana, heading back to Oklahoma City. Yeah. And a big, dark figure stepped out of the woods, and about as fast as it stepped out, it went right back in.
Wow.
And I was like, and I was about, you know, eighth of a mile, quarter mile away from it. And, you know, you think, well, maybe it's somebody messing with you. Well, from the height of how far back I was, I knew, you know, that couldn't have been a person in a suit. You know, it is at least, at the minimum, 8 foot tall. And it just out like it's getting ready to run across the road, decided to change its mind, turned around, went right back in the woods. And when I got up there, couldn't see anything. I mean, it was just that thick. And that's one thing about Texas. If I ever decide to go research that area, I'm going to have to carry a chainsaw to get through there.
You know, that's interesting because, you know, I think if people paid more attention, I remember when I first started, I saw quite a few things. You know, what I call sightings. It was a sighting, but it wasn't a dead-on sighting. It'd be like one time it looked like a big chimpanzee running across the road in front of me one time going to work one morning. It was way up the road, though. So I really couldn't tell anything other than I knew it wasn't a hog or a panther or anything else because of the way it was shaped, you know. And I've seen things like that, but I was busy looking for them. I think a lot of people would probably have a sighting if they were looking for them, but most people are not, are too busy paying attention to the idiots that are out there on the road instead of looking for Bigfoot. But, you know, drivers, I know because I'm married to one, they have a 360-degree almost view of everything. I mean, they're looking in their side mirrors, they're looking out front, they're not only just looking at the road, but up the road, and they have to, you know, because if they run over somebody, they're going to kill them. So they have to be extremely careful, but I think they're also extremely observant. So I think I
try to be
paying more attention.
I'll tell you when I started getting into field research back in February, I actually started getting more observant. You know, I'm looking around, looking in the trees, you know, And, you know, just kind of almost like a hunter. A hunter will do that. They'll be looking around all the time. And I started doing that, and that's when I'm catching them, you know. And it's like you said, you know, some of these people, they're just in such a hurry to get down the road. They're not paying attention to anything. They're just flying down the road, and they're missing everything they're going by.
But see, when I sit there, I'm looking at the woods. I'm looking for Bigfoot. Now, I have sat there with a hunter before, and they said, do you see that deer? And I said, no, there's not a deer there. They go, yes, it is. And I go, well, where? And they go, watch. You know, and I just follow their finger, and all you can see is the ear moving around. And that hunter could spot that deer ear, but they're trained to look at, you know, this is the same person that says, I've been in the woods all my life, never seen anything like that. Well, it's just because he's not looking for something like that. He's looking for that ear that's moving and not something that is 9, 10 feet tall, hairy, weighs 500 pounds. That's not something they're looking for. They can blend into the shadows.
Yeah, my friend's seen some of these videos where hunters are actually up in their tree stands, and one literally walks underneath of it and, you know, walks into view of the camera and walks off. And the hunter climbs down out of the tree and, you know, quickly exits the woods. I'm like, okay, he just walked out of frame and now you're coming down. You know. I'm like, I think I would have stayed up in the woods, up in the tree for a little bit longer with the camera, see if I couldn't get a little bit better.
Yeah.
But, that was just interesting.
You know, your first inclination usually is to get out of there. When you're in the same space as one, it's kind of different than when you see one in a car and you're passing by. But when you are in the woods with one of them, your first thought is to run, get out of there. You know, you're just terrified until you.
I really thought that would have been my first thought because I'm a scaredy cat. I'll tell you right now. I'm brave to a certain point, but I'm sorry. I see something 8, 10 foot tall coming at me. Yeah, I want to turn and run. But when I was out there and I heard those grunts, all I could think of was, I want to go find it. Just go into the woods. And like I said, it was just getting, you know, the sun was starting to go down, and knowing me, I'd never find my way out of there. I probably fell in the riverbed and floated on down to the, you know, lake or something. But, I have another friend of mine, he's another researcher. His name's Dustin, with the same he's with the same Southern Bigfoot Alliance. I've actually asked him to give me a hand, and he's actually going to go out to my site Thursday, or he's going to try to at any rate, you know, if he can get a chance to. And, you know, just kind of look around. I hadn't been out there in a while. I hadn't been able to, you know, take the time to go out there. And kind of missing it out there. It's beautiful out there. But, he's going to go out there, and Brian, him, you know, they're going to go out there and look around, poke around, see if, you know, any footprints or anything's unusual out there that, you know, I have that's been there since I've been there. You know, that's popped up since I've been there. You know, it's like an hour drive for me to get there, but for Dustin, he lives like right down the road from it.
What have you learned about the Bigfoot in your area, based on reports and your friends' sightings and things like that? What have you learned to expect from them? Are they aggressive or?
Actually, if they were aggressive, I probably wouldn't have been here talking to you right now, because when it passed by us, it was literally about, I'd say, 30, 40 yards from us walking through the woods. If it was aggressive...
Is that when you heard the grunt? That's the story you're talking about, the grunt?
No, that was back in February when, it walked out around my pickup.
Oh,
If it was aggressive, I don't think I'd really be talking to you right now. I'd, probably be laid up in the hospital still. But it seemed to try to avoid us, go out of its way to stay out of our sight. It stayed on the other side deep enough in that we couldn't see it, but we could hear it moving. But, yeah, I think they could be aggressive if you provoked them. Come running up on them for a chance, They're going to see that as an aggressive move, so they're going to turn aggressive. And
so do you ever go out there at night, Ricki? Do you go out at night or just mainly in the day?
That when I got the pictures of the foot, I actually went right at dusk, and it was dark because when I was taking the picture of the foot, it was dark out, and I could just barely see the foot, so I had to take my flashlight and shine down on it, and on my phone, and then hurry up and flip back and hit the camera, and the flash would hit it, so it kind of looks a little light out, but it is actually almost pitch black out there. And we were out there, at that time, the sun, was actually going down a lot earlier, so I figured probably about 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock at night. But yeah, as far as aggressiveness goes, I really don't think they're aggressive, unless you provoke them, or like any mother. If you come up on their young, yeah, maybe they'll be aggressive. But from what I have seen so far, it's non-aggressive. It tries to avoid contact with me.
Uh-huh. Have you have your research friend? Do they do any kind of calls or anything like that?
If
calls or,
I think they're actually more listening for it, because they're more the listeners. I'm more the going out there and thumping on the trees. I don't do the calls because I'm afraid that I'll sound goofy out there. There's going to be another researcher somewhere, within proximity going, okay, what kind of Bigfoot was that?
Sometimes they say the worse the call is, better the response. If it just sounds god awful. I've been out with people that just, it was like, what was that? And then all hell breaks loose after that. And I'm like, wow, could you do that again? I had a friend that did.
I just pictured Bigfoot being like, maybe if it's god awful strangled, they're like, oh, maybe it's a damsel in distress. We need to go rescue her. They just.
I had one friend that did like a bawling calf sound. It was like it was awful. And I was just laughing. And it was right after that we just got covered up. And I'm like, wow, let's do that. And she tried to do it again and never could get it just like she did that one time. And so it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I have done some tree knocks. And I can't remember if it was the same night I got the pictures or the next time I was out there. And I actually got the coyotes going. They're out there howling. And then I heard this in behind it. I was like, well, okay, is that a horse coyote? Or, am I hearing Bigfoot in the background? It's trying to howl along with them. I'm like...
had some friends that were researching down in Oklahoma, and they were leaving, and it could only have been a Bigfoot, threw a big old limb and dented their vehicle. That threw the limb and hit the side of their vehicle as they were leaving. And it was like they were saying, yeah, and don't come back. Don't even think about coming back.
Well, on that,
they were down there doing
I
calls, I imagine. I don't really know what they did to anger them, but yeah. So.
Well, I do know they will throw stuff at you. They don't purposely try to hit you. You know, I've never heard of anybody actually been hit, except for maybe cars or occasional chair. But I've seen some videos where they actually will throw it and it will go off to the side of the people. It's not actually trying to hit you. It's just trying to scare you away from it. So I'm not real, you know, it's kind of been, you know, kind of aggressive, but let's not hurt these people kind of way.
Right. It hasn't
just
kept you from going out there, right?
Oh, no. The more I hear stuff, you know, if I find more footsteps, I'm going to try to figure out some way of being out there every day.
What are you going to do when you actually come face to face with one?
That's a good question. You know, I tell everybody I can't run, so I'm just going to stand there, you know. I'll just be sitting there looking at it. Maybe cry, I don't know, and tears of joy. You actually came to me.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my.
But, you know, I really haven't got that far yet. I really don't know what, you know, nobody knows what they're going to do when, you know, when that happens. You don't know if you're going to completely freeze, which that's what I'm afraid I would do, is just freeze and just not be able to go. And, you know, my feet's like, I'm like, okay, let's go. And my feet's like, we ain't going anywhere. Or, you know, I really think that depending on how it looks, you know, if it looks just downright scary, like some of these photos I've seen, you know, the artist renditions of them, yeah, I might take flight. But, you know, if it looks like Harry and the Hendersons, yeah, I'm going to be right there. Hey, how you doing? You know, are you lovable?
Well, you know what kind of helps, though, is the fact that you do believe in Bigfoot, right? You do believe they exist?
Oh, yeah. And my thing is, I'm not sure if we're looking at a great ape or if it's more like a caveman, you know, something that's been around for a long time. And what
like
we thought
a relic
was extinct
hominid of some kind.
Yeah, you know, something that we always thought was extinct, but they just kind of stayed hidden from us. And,
you know, I think it's different when a person doesn't even believe in them and doesn't even know anything about them, and then they have a sighting. I think that really rocks their world a whole lot more than someone who already knows about them, who has kind of seen them, and then when they have that first sighting, they don't go into shock. You know, they're more. I think that you'll be incredulous and in awe and curious and soaking in every detail. I truly think you will. I think that once you have that face to face. You better let me know when you have that face to face too, because I'm going to have you back on this show to tell us about it. So you need to let me know when you have that face to face.
Well, I'm hoping to have the face to face like it wasn't actually face to face, about 50 yards out, like that, at least that far, so you know I can see it. You know, if we're that far apart, I know I'm not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt me. It knows I'm not going to hurt it. So, you know, we're at a safe distance from each other, you know, just watching each other. And then I actually have my own website I just started, last week, 2 weeks ago. It's Bigfoot Interactions Group. You know, a lot of people, they just want to research them. I actually want to get out there and interact with them, you know, see how intelligent they are. I know they're intelligent because, they do stuff, watching stuff, some of the stuff that I've been looking at online, they do stuff to show that they are intelligent. I want to see how intelligent. I think they're really highly intelligent. How can you hide something that's 8, 10 foot tall, 600 pounds? Unless you're really intelligent and you can blend in with stuff. You know how to blend in with stuff.
I think that's just something they've had to learn how to do just to survive and escape detection. But let me tell you why I know they're intelligent. Because they outsmarted me on those game cameras. Let me tell you what, I tried everything from tying them from a branch facing down, everything. They still avoided detection. They would set the camera off. They would get behind it and run a stick in front of it until it ran it completely out of film. This was back before the digital game cameras, when you had a little camera inside that ran a roll of film. Here I'm thinking, I've got the catch of the century. I run down to Walmart, spend my $6 to get it, and it's nothing but a stick. And every once in a while you see a little bit of hair kind of sticking in the picture, but you don't get anything, or the hand will be right in front of the, you just see it's just completely overexposed. You can't tell what it is, and it was just, I tried everything, and I said, this thing knows what this camera is, and it's outfoxing me. It's probably watching me put the stupid thing up.
I can almost guarantee you that.
I go through, now this is what I do. I get somebody to act like an idiot over in another part of the woods to distract them while I set up this camera trap. And it still didn't work. I'm telling you.
Probably had another member of the clan over there checking out the idiot over there. What's going on here? I'm gonna stay right here and see what she's doing. Yeah, I've actually seen on the trail cams like you're talking. They literally they will run so fast past them that the camera doesn't even get a chance to really catch a picture of them. It's like a blur.
Exactly. Yes, that's it.
Or they'll just, I think they do know. I don't know if it's because they have really good hearing and they can hear the mechanism going in it, or they just can sense that something's not right in that area and they know to steer around it.
I wondered if they can't see the IR in it.
They probably can.
If they can, maybe they have the ability with their. I know they have nocturnal vision. So maybe along with their nocturnal vision, they have the ability to be able to see some of the IR, it may not look just like a red beam, but they're able to see it. It's something that they're actually able to kind of see. And I don't know. It's just crazy. Just get ready because you are in for a treat on these guys. I'm going to tell you, they will outsmart you at every turn. And I'm not the brightest light bulb in the box, but they're definitely smarter than me when it comes to trying to trap them. They just...
Yeah. I really think that you're probably right. They can... With their vision, they can probably see something that we, with our vision, we can't see it. And so we're assuming they can't see it. We don't have a body. We can't test the eyes to see what it can actually see. So we don't really know exactly how far they can go, if it's a sense that, they know it's there, or, something like that. Or, like I said, they have really good hearing. If they're doing tree knocks and they're like 3 miles away, you can hear them holler. So, I don't know if they have really good hearing and they can actually hear the mechanism, if they're walking up on it, they can hear something turn on it, and then they just turn around and walk away from it, or what. It's really kind of weird, and I would actually like to figure out how they do that.
Well, I know that, I had an area that was very, very active. I had some really cool stuff going on. And I let a friend come in and set up about 3 trail cameras. And something set them off, but I don't know if he ever went and checked to see whatever, but I know that it took a couple of years for the activity to return. I know trail cameras will run off, will just kill your activity. So it's really kind of not worth it. You're not going to really get anything, and you may lose your good area. It just will.
And it's like another researcher friend of mine. She said, you put that camera out there, and they will become untrusting of you also if you're trying to interact with them. And that's what I'm wanting to do. So I'm not wanting to invade their privacy that way. I'm doing little things here and there, try to get them interested in me. So
have you tried gifting or leaving them a treat or anything like that?
Once I go back out there, that's what I'm going to start doing. She was giving me some really good ideas, and I'm going to try doing some, a little gifting, maybe like an apple or, I don't want to give them any chocolate. That's bad for us, so I don't want to give them that. But give them, like a fruit or. Mind. Oh, yeah. The next thing I know, they'd be chasing me down through the woods. I want your candy bar. Give me your candy bar. Give me your candy bar. Be throwing them out of my bag. Here you go. Please leave me alone. But yeah, just doing little things, just to let them know I'm there and see if they just respond and interact and do other things with me. I just keep monitoring the area and see if they're even interested in me right now. And so right now I'm just got a couple of footprints and a horse coyote out there somewhere.
Well, let me ask you something. How would one go about if they were interested in interaction also and they wanted to participate in your interaction site, your
my group?
Your group. How would they go about finding that?
Just go on Facebook, in the search bar, Bigfoot Interaction Group, and it comes right up. Oh. And kind of a little play on words, Bigfoot Interaction Group. So, and that's another thing.
I think that's really what happens, though, is a lot of researchers will start out just doing research because they're just trying to find proof that they're out there, and then they'll have a sighting and all of that, and eventually they become interaction. They're more interested in the interaction than they are finding tracks or any of that, because the interaction is the best part to me, I think.
I totally agree.
You find all this evidence out there, and half the people don't believe that's not conclusive evidence, and the scientists are even less convincing. But there's nothing like interaction. What you experienced, and it was real. And I think interaction's the way to go. I agree. I think you're jumping ahead, and I'm glad to see you're doing it. You're not going to waste your time with all this other, It's not really a waste of time.
I actually on that footprint, I sent pictures to a couple of researchers when I first got into the field research. I didn't really know anybody. And they were saying I was looking for a dog man. And I'm like, oh, no. I don't. And I've seen sketches of those. No, we'll pass on that one. Let those other guys do that. But real good researcher, a friend of mine. She's been really, my mentor, helping me with ideas, getting me prepared for the next time I go out. We'll be doing this. Her name's Sharon, and I really respect her. She's, really wise beyond her years there. She comes up with some really good ideas. In fact, on my Bigfoot site, I was actually originally going to call it Observing Bigfoot Research Organization. And she said, that kind of actually sounds like you're observing other people's research. So she kind of helped me, get the right words for it. And she knew I wanted to interact with it and, and play, and just toy around with it and play with it and see where we go from there. I'm eventually hoping, some people are waiting a lifetime to actually have one come up and sit next to them. And, that would be just that'd be just their, I think they'd die and go to heaven. I think I would too. Maybe literally if it was mad. But
well, it's not as easy as you think it is, because I've had them try to come up to us, and the closer it got, the more afraid I got. I really have always wanted to have interaction, but at a distance. When it actually tried to peacefully come towards us, I didn't like that at all. I did not like that at all.
Did you ever get to see it? Were you able to see it, or did?
Well, it was belly
scary
crawling
looking
over to us. Well, what we could see of it when it was standing by the tree was one thing, but then when it, we enjoyed watching it, over by the tree, but then when it decided to get down on the ground and belly crawl over to us, the closer it got, the more afraid we became.
Real it got.
It was. Yeah, it was just like it. We were enjoying it as long as it stayed over there. But when it came towards us, we weren't sure what it was going to do. I don't believe it had any intentions on hurting us. But what do you do? I hadn't had my mind not wrapped around that. What would you do with them standing in front of you like that?
That's where it comes back to is I don't know what I'll do. I hope I will stand there and. In my mind, it's like, oh no, this 10-foot thing, this 10-foot tall thing,
yeah. And this one,
it's also
he was 10 foot tall, and he was just a monster. I mean, he was huge.
And it also goes to what it looks like. If it looks more human, like the one in '68, I think I would be more okay with that. I could relate to it.
Yeah.
But if it looks more animalistic, like gorilla, I might start getting a little afraid because you don't know what to expect.
He looked like what I would think a Yeti would look like. I mean, he had like an apish kind of body. He had the crest on top of his head. He had sloped shoulders. He was real stout looking. He had long hair. And all the ones that I'd seen here were all short-haired, or it seemed like they were more sleek. They were tall and slender like basketball players, and they had more human-looking face. This one did not. He looked more apish, and he seemed more peaceful. He was very peaceful. But once they started coming,
people never knew gorillas existed. I can't remember till like 1950, between 1925 and 1950. We never even knew a gorilla existed. And look how we've come to, befriend them. A lot of people are interacting with them. They're signing.
Yes.
Just let the natural process go and see where it takes you. And if he's going to be aggressive, then we'll talk about let's run. If he starts grunting at you and getting that look on his face like I'm going to jump you, let's go and hightail it.
Lauren, are you fixing to?
Yeah,
go ahead.
We ran out of time.
We're
part, and we ran out of time.
Can you believe that? I told you could probably talk 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I always kind of wonder if I could, but Bigfoot's my favorite subject,
Oh, I know.
And I'm just looking for the day that I get to see one.
Yeah. You will.
Well, y'all, thank you for having me on your show. I really enjoyed it. You made it a really enjoyable experience for me.
Thank you. We enjoyed
you
having you,
coming.
too. You were awesome. Yes. Yes. I really think you're going to go somewhere with the interaction thing. Do you have just the right kind of personality to you're humorous, and I feel like that you've got a kind nature about you, and I think they'll pick up on that, and I think you'll be surprised that it won't be very long as you can try to get out there as much as possible. I know it's hard because you have to make a living like all the rest of us, but I think that if you find a good spot, I would go to one spot as much as you possibly can, and that's what happened with me. That's how I had my first sighting, was I kept going to the same place.
That's what I'm going to start doing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to start doing because it was really right there. I mean, 30, 40 yards away from me. So I'm going to keep going back to that area and doing little things to hopefully interact with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And they say that a lot of times they know why you're there. It's like they can read your body language or they just know. But, I've always heard people say, just go and sit there, read a book or, dig in the dirt or do something, to where you don't look like you're quite as obviously looking for Bigfoot. But to give them something to look at. When you were there with your friend, were y'all talking? Were y'all talking?
We were trying to be quiet, but every now and again we'd laugh, and it probably picked up on us.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've
it
noticed
probably
that we
looks
get
at it.
More when we just act normal, but then you don't hear half the stuff. I like to be able to hear, and I'm always going.
But yeah, actually, they're probably thinking, looking at me when I'm going through the woods, hey, he's one of us. What happened to his hair? I have that build, a stockier build, shorter neck, longer arms, legs. And it's like, what happened to his hair? Wait a minute here.
Are you?
Did you get mange?
Are you real tall too, or are you real tall?
I'm 6 foot tall. Yeah, I'm pushing 235 pounds. I lift mattresses for a living when I'm not out there, so I'm kind of really stocky.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I wish you luck, Rick. I really do.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You were just really a natural on the radio. This was his first show, folks. If you can believe it, he did really, really well. And we hope that we hear from you again. Let us know. If you have your face-to-face, we want to hear from you. So we'd like to bring you back on.
You're my friend on Facebook, so if I actually have a sighting, you'll be the first to know.
Awesome.
Okay. I may just have you call in during another show, and we'll give you 10 minutes to tell us about it or something,
I would love that.
Yeah.
But,
well, anyway, we better say goodnight before they shut us off. They're bad about that.
I hear you. You have yourself a good night, and thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was our honor to have you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, everyone. We'll see you next Monday. See you next Monday. Good night.
Good night.